Hello everyone, welcome to SwitchUp. We've got another review for you today, this time of Fire Ungh's Quest, and this was written for us by Dave Morrish. Thank you very much, Dave. He has his own channel, SaveDex Gaming. He does some great stuff over there. I will put a link to it in the top pinned comment. If you could go and have a look, that would be lovely. Fire Ungh's Quest is a point and click puzzle game where you take control of a caveman, Ungh, on a quest for fire. It had previously been released on other systems, including the Wii U some years ago, but has now arrived on the Nintendo Switch. So what exactly is the point, and well, does it all click? Well, thank you to the publishing team for the review code, and now, let's find out.
Okay, that was a bit unexpected.
The game begins with Ungh being left to stand guard over the tribe's fire during the night, but Ungh manages to fall asleep, and when morning comes the fire has gone out. He finds himself exiled from the tribe and must then set out on a quest to find more fire. Each of the game's 10 stages involve you needing to examine your surroundings and work out the correct way to reach the firefly at the end. You will mostly need to experiment and see how Ungh interacts with certain objects. Some of them cannot be reached or have some sort of obstacle stopping you, so you need to find a way past that. You have a couple of options in how this controls, depending on whether you play it docked or handheld. When playing docked, you can use a single Joy-Con and point it around to move the cursor on the screen. You press the right face button to interact with an item of interest. Pressing the trigger will reset your cursor to the centre, and pressing the bottom face button highlights which items can be interacted with. You can also use the analog stick to move Ungh from one screen to the next. The Pro controller isn't actually supported in any way. When playing in handheld mode, you naturally use the touchscreen. Moving between screens can be handled by tapping the forward and reverse triangles in the bottom corners. I found the touch controls could be quite unresponsive, and it would take several attempts tapping the same area before anything happened. This is a shame, as I found it a lot more comfortable to play the game in handheld rather than needing to hold up a Joy-Con, but the pointer controls were flawless, and due to this ended up being my preferred method of play. The option to display what could be interacted with was a great move, and it saves a long time of randomly clicking on things until something happens. The puzzles themselves, to be fair, did get very creative and were quite clever. The first one seemed quite basic, with trying to get an apple out of a tree, but before long you are exploring the insides of a dinosaur, performing rain dances, and even transforming into animals. Despite the way it plays remaining the same throughout the adventure, the variety in the stages and the tasks that you perform does keep things interesting and memorable. There are 3 hidden coins on each stage to try and collect as well. They aren't required to beat the game, but they do add an extra challenge, as some of them are quite cryptic. Speaking of cryptic, sometimes the puzzles can be tricky to work out. I mentioned just now that displaying what can be clicked on will prevent you from randomly clicking on everything, but even when you know what can be interacted with, I still found myself sometimes clicking on each thing in turn until I managed to do it in the right order, and although the solution made sense in hindsight, it felt like an accident that I actually discovered it. On the whole though, most of the puzzles I found enjoyable to work out, and they were satisfying to do. Each level presents you with unique scenarios and various ways in which you can locate the fireflies, and my experience was a mix between understanding what I was doing and a bit of random clicking until something happened. Gameplay gets 13 out of 20. It's a shame that the Pro controller isn't supported, although to be fair the pointer controls were responsive. It's just a shame the touchscreen controls aren't quite so, and on the whole, controls gets 14 out of 20. In terms of the visuals, Fire Ungh's Quest has a 2D hand-drawn art style. Ungh himself is very expressive, and there are some great animations, such as when he is unable to interact with something, his head will open up, showing a sign with a question mark. A lot of character and personality is shown throughout. The locations themselves become more varied as you play throughout the game, with a few little references thrown in for good measure. Sometimes the perspective doesn't work in your favour, as there were times when I got stuck trying to find a solution due to me not realising something was on another plane, but most of the time things were clear to see. The sound accompanying each stage complements the atmosphere, with some catchy tunes that have a nice beat to them. The music design was very well arranged, down to the point where one puzzle had me arranging music myself to create a song that some cavemen wanted to hear. There is no voice acting or text in this game, so the story is portrayed visually. An NPC does not need to tell you he wants rain, all he needs to do is a failed rain dance and then look sad, with a thought bubble showing a rain cloud. It's simple, but it works very well. Things are definitely visually appealing, with a likeable main character and a fun world design. I didn't experience any performance issues at all in my playthrough, either in docked or handheld, and of course there is no text to worry about at all, so there's not a problem with it being too small when playing on the go. Visuals get 15 out of 20. The music was enjoyable and the sound effects and animations definitely added plenty to the comedy. For this reason, audio gets 16 out of 20. Fire Ungh's Quest costs £12.99 and regional equivalents are on your screen now. For this you are getting 10 stages, although the whole adventure took me less than 3 hours to beat, and I wouldn't consider myself necessarily good at point and click games in general. A good portion of that time involved me stuck on a level randomly clicking on the same thing over and over, when it wasn't particularly clear what I was supposed to be doing. Different people will handle a game like this in different ways, as some people may discover things quite quickly, whereas others will no doubt take quite a bit longer. One thing that does hurt the value of these sort of games, I feel, is the replayability or lack thereof. As the gameplay revolves around problem solving, and if you know the solution, then simply breezing through the stages becomes less enjoyable on subsequent playthroughs. There is the added incentive of finding the hidden coins I mentioned earlier, but there isn't a whole lot else, it has to be said. Then you have to factor in that you can find this cheaper elsewhere. The Wii U release, for example, is selling for £8.99. Despite enjoying the art style and enjoying some of the puzzles too, I do feel this is too short an experience for the asking price, and value unfortunately gets 10 out of 20. To conclude, Fire Ungh's Quest is a humorous little title with some great puzzles that give you a rewarding feeling. The art style and the music are very appealing, and the characters and world built helped keep me engaged. Even though there were times when it wasn't clear what I needed to do and I had to resort to simply clicking on everything, the fact you can display what can be interactive with did help to streamline the experience in that respect. If you find this on sale, it's definitely a worthy addition to your collection, if you enjoy point and click games of course, but the short length and lack of replayability, plus the issues with the touchscreen, mean I couldn't recommend it at full price. Fire Ungh's Quest gets a SwitchUp score of 68%. Thank you everybody for watching this review, I hope you enjoyed it. Please do remember to leave a like if you did. Another big thank you to Dave for writing this one for us. As I said, there is a link to his channel, SaveDex Gaming, in the top pinned comment. Please do go over there and have a look at his stuff. Perhaps subscribe to him while you are over there. On that note, thank you to each and every one of you that have subscribed to us in the last couple of weeks. Thank you to our Patreons as always for your continued support. Take care, stay safe, and until next time, happy gaming.